You are now listening to the Vitalize Podcast. Hey yo, what up, family? Welcome back to the Vitalize Podcast. You're here with your friendly neighborhood host, Mr. Marcus Black, and I'm super excited to be with you, man. Listen, I am on 10 right now, maybe 11, maybe 12, maybe 100. I'm on 100 right now, just excited and ecstatic and elated and, you know, all the things I always say, but just happy, man, not only to have you here, but happy to be alive. Happy that life is happening within me, around me, and I am an active participant in going and living my best life, and I want you to do the same. So if you're brand new here, welcome. You're like, what on earth did I just walk into? Listen, I'll tell you what you just walked into. The most inspirational, motivational, big energy podcast you'll ever see. The most incredible podcast you ever did see, hear, listen to, experience, whatever. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited for today. We got some powerful, empowering, impactful things. Look at that alliteration. Got me on. We got some incredible things to share today and some things that are just on my heart. But if you're new here, welcome. Listen, no such thing as a second-time guest in this community. I want to talk to you guys about an experience I just had. And so those of you who don't know, I am M. Black Speaks. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a best-selling author. I'm a life coach, a speaker coach, all the things. A podcast host. This is the sixth season. And I thank you for pulling up to it. Listen, I can promise you we're here for a good time, not for a long time. I can promise you I'll never waste your time. And I can promise you that you're going to get some things. I'm going to take you on a roller coaster. We'll be up, down, and all around, but I promise to always leave you better than I found you. If we do deal with some difficult things, I'm always going to leave you better than I found you. So pick your head up and just know this is going to be really good. Like, it's going to be real good. So you can just get yourself comfortable. If you're running right now, because some of y'all like, I can only listen to you when I'm on a treadmill or I'm on a jog or I'm on a hike. Listen, you don't get comfortable. You get ready and you dig in and you can let your mind escape the physical pain you're in right now at this moment. But for those of you who are at home or at the office and you just need a little pick-me-up, listen, you came to the right place. Your boy is always going to be an infusion of life, love, and energy and all the things impact into your life. So what I want to get into today is this experience I just had, which was I went to the concert, man. I went to see Drizzy Drake and J.Cole. And so if some of you is like, oh, you just instantly perked up. You're like, what? Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Also, just before we tap in, man, go ahead and share this with a couple of friends, man. Just hit, wherever you're listening, just hit share, copy link, send this to 3 to 5 people, tell them thank me later. They will thank you later. And then now you get to hear about my experience, right? So when I pulled up, you know, I was wanting to go. I've been wanting to go for a long time. And I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, you know what? If you want to go, that's fine. I don't necessarily want to go. I'm not the biggest fan of either of them, but she knows I'm the biggest fan of both of them. So it's like, you know what? Let's just make it do what it do. So I got my ticket and I was flying solo and I was a little nervous about that because I'm like, man, you know, those type of experiences are just better when there's people you know, you can feel more comfortable. I know all the words, bar for bar, line for line. I would show y'all, but I'm not even going to do that right now. I'll make you have to keep coming back. Maybe I'll rap for y'all one day, but that's where I was, and I was in this place, and I was checking it out, and I was super excited about the show, and I decided to go. But then I realized, like, all my people were going on Tuesday. Like, even my man's Trent Shelton and fam pulled up on the concert, drove from Dallas on Tuesday. He said, man, I'm hitting the show Tuesday. I'm like, golly, my boys, my guys from Generation Y hitting the show Tuesday. All my people hitting the show Tuesday. I'm like, well, I got a ticket for Monday. I got it on accident. That's a whole nother story. But the price was too unbeatable for me not to do, so I guess I'm going on Monday by myself. And so I pull up, and I didn't know what to expect. This is Oklahoma City. For those of you who don't know, that's where we are. It's a smaller market. Also not necessarily the target demographic for their form of music. You know, if you were to tell me if we were going to, man, shout out to the legend, rest in peace, Mr. Toby Keith or Garth Brooks or Reba or somebody like that, we'll turn it up in Oklahoma for some country music. Mumford and Sons, you know what I'm saying? Carrie Underwood. Dang, Oklahoma got some legends, man, in the country game. Sheesh. And that ain't even all of them. But if you told me that, it would make sense. We're gonna sell out, pack out arenas. You know what I'm saying? But when you're talking about some of the biggest urban hip hop rap culture coming here, I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work. I didn't know what to expect. And when I tell you the crowd was a sellout, it was crazy. The energy was bananas. It was through the roof. But when I was there, I was so enthralled with this experience. I was so captivated. I was so swallowed up. I was so in the moment. It really impacted me. It impacted my mind. It impacted my spirit, my soul. And I learned some things that I'm going to share with you guys today. You're like, are we going to talk about, this is not the great debate. We're not debating who's the greatest rapper alive. That's not what's happening today. Many of you guys who've been tracking with me for a while know that sometimes I have these experiences that just are so overwhelming in my mind and my heart. And just the way that I see the world, I have to extract principles or lessons learned from it. So you guys know I'm a major fan of Hamilton. Don't make me do it to you, because I will do it to you. I'm not gonna do it to you. I'm gonna spare you this time. But I know almost probably 11 or 12 songs word for word in Hamilton. I'm talking I could sing with them, male, female, all the voice tones. I got it. But we did an episode on my biggest takeaways from Hamilton. So if you want to go back, I think that's in season 2. I don't remember the exact episode, but you go scroll, find it. And that one was really, really, really incredible. I also, you guys know, I did an episode about Keith Lee, the Keith Lee effect, and just watching the phenomenon that is Keith Lee and all the things that he's doing on the internet. And if you don't know who Keith Lee is because you've been living under a rocker for whatever reason, just Google him. Go to TikTok, find Keith Lee. You'll thank me later, because that guy's remarkable. Like what he's doing in the world, doing more good. I mean, it is phenomenal. So I made an episode about the things I learned from him. Not about him. It's about the things I learned from his actions. And if you've been around just recently, I did an episode called The Taylor Swift Effect. Shake it off, shake it off. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, let me stop playing with y'all. But yeah, I made that episode. And it wasn't about Taylor Swift. I made a post about it. That thing went bananas on TikTok. Like, sheesh, mini viral. Thousands and thousands of views, thousands and thousands of likes. It was crazy. But it wasn't about Taylor. It was about things I learned from her and the choices she was making, principles that we can extract that make us all better. And so we're going to do the same thing today, and we're going to talk about the things and some of the principles I learned from just these guys and being fans of them. It's not necessarily from the music. It's more about how they show up in the world. And so if I take you back to the year is, let's say, we can go back to the early 2000s. You pick your poison. Which year in the early 2000s? And there's a young man stepping onto the scene calling himself Drizzy. He's like, what is a Drizzy? And where did you come from? Oh, he came from Degrassi, some kid's show in Canada. And like, what in the world is that? I don't know, but Drake was on it. And so he stepped into this world of rap and just being a person who's a fan of words and putting them together. And when he stepped into this world, many of you know, like, he wasn't necessarily accepted by his peers. As a matter of fact, he was belittled, he was laughed at, and it was made a mockery because everybody felt like, why are you here, bro? Go back to acting. This is not for you. Why are you out here singing these soft songs? You out here singing, bro. You talking about you a rapper? How you gonna be rapping and singing? Now, how many rappers rap and sing? I could go down the list. Don't make me name them off. That's everybody now. He created a whole wave. But in the beginning, it wasn't a wave. In the beginning, it was the very thing for him to be ridiculed for. And I hope you're already picking up what I'm putting down. Because some of you are sitting under the sound of my voice and you got something you want to do and something you want to offer to the world. And it might be a little different traditionally than any and everything that you've seen anybody else do. So you're just going to say, you know what? They're not going to like it. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to talk about me. So I'm just not going to put my gift into the world. I'm not going to share my greatness to the world. I'm not going to show up and give what I got to the world because they might ridicule me. They might talk about me. They might hurt my feelings. And so you just work your way right out of purpose, worrying about them and they. And we done talked about this. We're not doing that anymore. Learn from Drake. He showed up on the scene and he kept doing his little singing raps and he kept being emotional and he got made fun of and he became a meme before a meme was a thing. Ooh, bars. Come on, rap bars. Call me Dr. Seuss out here in these streets. He became a meme before a meme was even a thing. He was made fun of. I look back in around those same time, there's this other man, Mr. Jermaine Cole, Hollywood Cole, Cole World, J. Cole. And he's stepping onto the scene and just connected with Jay-Z, getting his big break, having some troubles. But he's just different. His mind is different. He moves different. He ain't the, I gotta be in the center of attention and be in the spotlight. He's not the, I gotta have all the designer brands. He literally has a song called Chainin' Day, talking about the mentality that makes rappers feel like they gotta spend money they don't have to look the part to be accepted. So that shows you what his mind was on from day one. And when I look at him and I saw the same thing as Drake, he was ridiculed. Oh my gosh, he was ridiculed. Because they said, this dude weird, this dude different. Like this dude, and he's from a biracial family. His parents were in an interracial relationship. So his father was black, his mom was white. People made fun of him for that. You can't be taken serious, you're really white. Don't get me wrong. I don't know why some people think that you can't, color determines your ability to do any vocation. Because last time I checked, there's some of the greatest rappers ever was white. Speaking of one, top of mind, Eminem. So it's like, yeah, bro, it doesn't matter if his mom is white or what he is racially, but people made fun of him for that. He caught a lot of flack for that. There was a lot of ridicule. So same thing. Here he is having this dream. Matter of fact, come on, man, you're going to see how big of a fan I am. I start randomly quoting lyrics to y'all. J. Cole was Mr. Dollar in a Dream at the time. That's all he got. It's just a dollar in a dream. And that song, man, it just touches me anyway. Like, just walk with me and I'll give you my pain. So much on my mind, I wonder how it fits in my brain. Anyway, I just think about, where they were, and I always appreciated the difference because I knew I wanted to be different. I knew, like, I'm different now. Like, I pull up to a corporate speaking engagement with a hoodie on, some J's, and there's gratefully people who have paved the way for me to be able to do that, to not have to wear a 3-piece suit where I can't barely breathe and move around, just so that I can share thoughts that are going to help people. The thoughts don't change because I have on a 3 or 4-piece suit. So it's like, that's just a tradition and I respect it. But now there are people like the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas. There are people like my brother and my friend, Trent Shelton. There are people that pull up out here. Shout out George White, the speaker now, that pull up like them, their own way, and are being able to make the most impact. But it wasn't always that way, but I'm different. And so I always admired these guys and how different they were, knowing that I wanted to be different. And some of you are different as well. And that is the very reason why you are sitting here just tearing yourself down. That's why you won't even try. That's why you're not even getting in the game, because you're thinking, you know what? You're disqualifying yourself because you're different. And what I'm saying is, you can't afford to do that. Why? Y'all just heard the episode. If y'all haven't, please go back and listen to the episode with myself and Mr. Trent Shelton. What did he say? One of his first rules, thou shalt not be mine own enemy. I'm not going to be my own enemy. It's enough enemies in the world that don't want to see you win. So why would you be your own enemy? DJ Khaled, they don't want to see you win. They don't want you to be successful. That's very true. There are a lot of people who don't want to see you win. They rather see you suffer so they can laugh, and not because they actually want you to suffer, but because they don't feel good, and to feel better about themselves, they want to see somebody else wallow in misery too, because you know what they say, misery loves company. But what if you say, you know what, no matter what, I'm not going to self-sabotage. No matter what, I'm going to be great. No matter what, I'm going to give my gift to the world, no matter what. And I'm going to dare to be different. And I sit and I experience that show, and I'm not going to lie. Maybe I'm a fan of, because I'm a super fan of both. It's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. When I say it's one of the greatest, it's literally one of the greatest shows I have ever seen, top to bottom. And I remember sitting here experiencing it, living in the moment, all the good, the bad. I'm going to tell you some of the things that happened that stood out to me over the course of the remainder of this podcast. But I remember when it was over and I was getting ready to walk out, I was on such a natural high. No alcohol, no smoke. I'm just on a natural high. Because I just watched two of my favorites and two of the best to ever do it. Wow. I mean, when I say wow, they didn't just show up. They wowed a crowd for 3.5 hours. For 3 hours, they wowed a crowd. and just had wheels off, just as loud as you can think, energy in the building. And all I could think was, once upon a time, it was all a dream. It was all a dream in both of their minds that they made real, and now they get to be a living, breathing example to us. J. Cole said this when he was out there. He said, y'all don't understand, like, when I come out and I see people wearing shirts that say Dreamville, that's his brand, that's his label, that once was an idea in his bedroom when he didn't believe fully in himself and he didn't know. And now Dreamville is a big brand that people, thousands of people in this arena had on just because they came to see him. Come on, man. He's sitting here reflecting on his own journey saying, this don't even feel real to me. So that is to comfort you when you look back over your journey and you see yourself in those times where you're like, man, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if anybody will ever see the vision. I don't know if anybody will ever support. I don't know if anybody will ever catch the wave. I don't know. And guess what? The greatest of all time have all been there. Everybody's had doubts before, so stop disqualifying yourself because of doubts and show up anyway. And they wowed that crowd, and that was one of the greatest shows. And at the end, I'm left feeling so inspired, feeling so encouraged, feeling so great. I had to run it back. And people thought, boy, are you crazy? I might be. I don't know. But the second night, I said, I'm not doing this alone no more. I got my wife. I hit up the babysitter. I secured us some tickets, better seats this time, because I'm like, okay, I've been to the show now. I know where everything's going to happen. So I pick where I wanted to be based on what I knew was going to happen in the show. And we pulled up and we ran it back. And it was equally as powerful and impactful the second time around. And over the course of that show, there was a few takeaways that I had that I want to share with you today that I feel like will encourage you, will inspire you, and will help you ascend to higher heights in your own life. And the first one is one that you might think is obvious, but I got to share it anyway. And that is, I want you to be devoted to your craft. Be devoted to your craft. Because when I looked at them, I saw a remarkable show for 3 hours from two of the greatest to ever do it. But what I thought about on the after the fact was I saw the show twice. And all these people were asking me which show was better. And I honestly can't say because they were the same. Like, meaning if one show was 11 out of 10, the other one was 11.2 out of 10. Like, they were both over 10 out of 10. They were extraordinary. So that means that there had to be a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of rehearsal. You know how much practice and rehearsal and things have to happen that we don't get to see just for them to put on that one night or that 2-night extravaganza, or, that one little 3 hours. Months and even years of dedication went into the preparation. So you got something you want to do. You got something you want to achieve. You got something you want to accomplish. I want you to accomplish it too. You deserve to accomplish it, but ain't gonna happen unless you are devoted to it. Are you playing with this or are you devoted? Are you devoted or are you playing? Is this a hobby or are you really about that life? Speaking of, I'll give you a real life example. I've been devoted to this stuff. I've been devoted to the mission, the movement, to Vitalize, to the project, to M Black Speaks. But what I haven't been devoted to is the health of M Black Speaks. Ooh, step on my own toes. I'm going to step on your toes. I'm going to step on my own. I ain't been devoted to it. I've been playing with it for 3 or 4 years. I've been playing with it. I've been going and yo-yo dieting and losing 15 to 20 pounds and gaining it right back. Losing 20, gaining 25. Losing 21, gaining 23. I played that game for 3 or 4 years. And now, here we are. And I can honestly say, I'm devoted. For the longest time, I was not devoted. But now I can honestly say that I've been locked in. Let me show you. I went to the Drake and J.Cole concert the first night. I realized this is going to end a lot later than I thought. And I walked out of the arena at about 12:10 a.m. And I know that I'm not going to get home because there's so many people and ride and getting out. I made it home about 1:30. Now, I haven't had food because I didn't eat dinner. I was going to get it after. I'm thinking, oh, show starts at, 8. It'll be over by 9:30. Yeah, nah. Nope. It was over by 12, just after 12 a.m. And so I got in the car. I got home by my house around 1:30 a.m. I was thinking about grabbing some food. Said, nah, man, I'm not about to eat at this time. I'm just going to go to bed. Got in the house, drank some water, went to bed. Got to bed about 2:15 a.m. My alarm went off at 4:30. Now I have a choice to make. Say, man, forget that alarm. You got an excuse. You were out all night. You had a great time. You expended energy, and you didn't even have no dinner. But you know what I did? The choice I made, I got my little self up. I got my little self dressed, and I moved across the building, all the way across the city to Rumble Box in OKC. Shout out to Rumble. And I got it in, got my workout in. I ain't missing because I'm dedicated, because I am devoted. Next night, take wifey back. I loved it so much. Still on a high from it. Days later, go in there, take the wifey. We sit down. We enjoy the show. We have a killer time. It's even better this time because I can be comfortable. I can rap every lyric because I can annoy her. I don't want to annoy strangers. But she loved to see me loving and enjoying myself. But we got home because now we had to go get the babysitter and pay the babysitter and get the boys and get them home. And so now it's 2:30 a.m. before my eyelids shut. And again, what happens? Alarm goes off at 4:30. All right, bro, this is the second day in a row. Come on, man. You ain't got it. Ain't nobody's going to blame you if you miss one. Catch up on some rest. Now, to those of you who are like, bro, where are you resting? Don't worry. I got time scheduled to catch up on rest. But the principle right now is about being devoted. And I got my little self up. When that alarm went off, I got my little self dressed. I moved across the building, which is the city, back to Rumble Box in OKC. And this time I did not one class, I did two. In the spirit of Drake, back to back. I did two back to back. And here I am now getting to celebrate, like not missing a day in, I don't know, a month now. And now officially crossed the 40-pound mark of like having lost 40 pounds. And that's from a result of being devoted. That's what it looks like. That's a real example. Those guys selling out, getting the highest grossing tour, having arenas packed, that don't happen by accident. That doesn't happen by chance. Your dream ain't gonna happen by accident. It ain't gonna fall into your lap. It's not going to work like that. How it's going to work is a result of you doing what others aren't willing to do, of you showing up and giving more than you think you got, of you finding that inner resolve of that's deep in the tank and showing up and giving all you got to the world. That's how you find success, and that's what it means to be devoted. And I saw these brothers, my brothers, they don't know they my brothers, but they my brothers, saw them do it, and I saw them live it, and I saw them. And all I could think was, man, how much work, time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, and tears they put into this in order to become who they've become. So if you want to become who you're meant to become, that's not going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen by chance. It's going to happen by you being devoted. And the second thing you got to be is unapologetically you. Number 2 is to be unapologetically you. I set this whole thing up telling y'all about how they came into the industry and how they both were ridiculed. Guess what? Do you know that these guys were ridiculed so bad, but I ain't seen neither one of them change? Drake is still the same emotional. He still got me in my feelings, Drake. He's still, matter of fact, it has become a noun. There's been times where I've had friends literally text me if I get in my feelings a little bit, if I get emotional, they be like, stop draking, bro. Like, it's become a noun. It's like you draking when you in your feelings. Again, he became a meme, but he didn't care. Because when he came to that show, he did every one of them songs. Emotional, singing, big energy rapping, the whole gamut. He did it. And he was unapologetic about who he was. And that's what made him who he is. Ooh, what? Rewind. I said he was unapologetic about who he was. And that's what made him who he is. So what's stopping you from being who you are? Ooh, this feels so deep. Give me some of these. Yeah, give me some snaps. What makes you who you are? Have you been expressing all of who you are? Have you expressed any of who you are? Or have you allowed fear of not being accepted to keep you in a box? Have you allowed fear of other people's perception of you to keep you in a box? Have you allowed the thoughts of possibly not being enough in the eyes of strangers you don't even know? Have you allowed it to keep you in a box? I think I know the answer. Because you're still listening to this. And because you're still listening to this, you know that there are some things you ain't never put out there, that you ain't never showed. There's some quirkiness, there's some goofiness, there's some silliness, there's something that you just have yet to put out into the world. And the world is desperately waiting on you and waiting on your gift and waiting on your craft. There's people who you would light their world up if they only knew you existed. They can't know you exist if you're too busy hiding though. Ooh, stop hiding. Why are you hiding? We ain't playing hide and go seek, fam. It's not a kid's game. It's time for you to get in the game and show the world your greatness unapologetically and do it in a way that only you can. I tell y'all this before and I say it all the time. If we were to put the massive puzzle on this table right now and put all the pieces together and everybody had a piece to bring and we worked through it and together we collectively put together this massive puzzle and we got to the end of that puzzle and there's only one piece missing, we would feel empty. We would feel incomplete because if you lose even one piece of a puzzle, the picture without that piece will never be complete. And when I think about this life is a puzzle. But you are the piece. And without you in it, the picture will never be complete. And when I say without you in it, I don't just mean physical you, I mean all of you. The part that you're scared to put out there, the part that you don't want to show anybody else, the part that you don't get into, the part that you haven't allowed people to see for fear of not being enough, for fear of not being worthy, for fear of not being appreciated, for fear. Get rid of fear. Fear is not fatal. You don't have to let fear take you out. Well, who cares if you fail? Failure is not final. It doesn't matter, man. But it's the will to persist and to be unapologetically you that makes you who you are. Listen to me. It's time out for that. We not on that game no more. I told y'all we different this year. What's up? We going up. And I need you to know in your mind, your heart, your soul, and your spirit that you are worthy. You are worth it. You are powerful beyond measure. And you can do anything you put your mind to. Stamp it. M Black Speak said it, and you could tell him I said it. I ain't hard to find. And we're moving right into number 3 as we get ready to transition and head to landing this plane. Number 3 is be a good human. Be a good human. And you guys might be thinking, wait, be a good human. How do we go from be unapologetically you and being devoted? Because we can see that. Where does be a good human come into play with Drake and J.Cole? Listen to me. I witnessed some of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in my life as we transition into this next part of this podcast. And one of them was a pause. Drake took a pause in the middle of the hypest part of the show to say, I promised myself I would share this every night. Some of you have seen it. I unfortunately saw it. Heartbreaking. If you haven't seen it, don't go look it up. Do yourself a favor. Spare your mind and your heart. But in one of his concerts in St. Louis, Missouri, it had just ended. And there was a young lady and her mother. So there was a mother and daughter, young, who had just been to the show, had the time of their lives. They were just had their little merch in their hand and swinging and happy, go lucky. And they had the right of way and they were crossing a crosswalk and a car came barreling over 100 miles an hour, ran a red light and literally obliterated them and killed them on the spot. And I saw this video and Drake actually brought it up in the show. And he said, this messed me up. This was heartbreaking. He said, and it was hard. He said, it's still hard for me to get up and do what I do, knowing those innocent, beautiful people lost their lives just trying to have an experience for something we bring to the table. And he said, so my reminder to you is that you matter. My reminder to you is to be present in the moment. Some of y'all today is going to get right off this podcast and take your life for granted. He said, no, 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 no. You cannot take your life for granted. You must be present because none of us know when it's going to be our last moment. You think that mother and daughter thought on the heels of the same experience I had, feeling great, feeling on cloud 11, and that was what was going to happen. That was going to be the end. No, they did not think that. And unfortunately, it will be their last moments on the earth. So because we don't know, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this so you stop taking your life for granted. And then in the same section, he says, so part of me wants to be present in every city. And I just want to be here for the people. And so there were people who had signs in the crowd, and he read a few of them out loud. And one of them said something like, there was a single mom who worked her tail off to put her daughter through college, and her daughter was now accepted into med school, but they didn't have the money. But she's like, it's okay. We drove hundreds of miles to be here just to see you, and that is enough for us. And he said, that is not enough for you because I and my team are going to put your daughter through medical school. It's on me. Her whole medical school, he's paying for it. Be a good human. There was another young lady who said her house had burned down. Her entire house had burned down. And all she could know was that she just wanted to be there for her family. She was caring for her dad. They lost so much, but it's okay. Thank you for giving me hope. You know what he did? He said, you know what? I got $20,000 for you for the just house repairs or whatever you need. $20,000 on the spot. Be a good human. There was a third lady who said, you helped me survive chemo. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. And he said, you know what? I love nothing more than seeing a warrior who was able to fight that good fight and come out on the other side. Shout out to you. And here's $30,000 for you to go on vacation, treat yourself, and do something nice for yourself because you deserve it. And he wrapped up this section of the show by saying, every single day, each one of us wakes up. And when we wake up, we have a choice to make. And that choice is, are we going to go and be a horrible human being and do bad things that bring other people down? Or are we going to choose to be a good human, doing the things that we know lead to life and bring other people up? Which are you going to do? He said, because I know I chose that I'm going to wake up every single day and I'm going to be a good human. And the hair on my arms just stood up right now. I kid you not, as I'm telling you this. Because that is a conscious choice that I make every single day. I'm going to get up in this crazy world, this sick world where evil is running amok, and I'm going to still choose to be a good person because it matters. You matter. People matter. And we have the power to be the change we want to be. Shout out to you, Drizzy Drake, Aubrey. Shout out to you, my man, for making that choice, but also for challenging others to make the choice as well. So my challenge to you, make the choice. Make the choice. You can sit around and you can wallow around, or you can stop taking your life for granted, and you can maximize your purpose and your potential and your passion, and you can make it matter. You can make your life matter just by choosing to be a good human. Coming around, number 4. Comes from a moment in the show where my man himself, the legend, Mr. Jermaine J.Cole, got right in the center of that arena. And he said, you know what? I always want to give something of substance to the people in the world that I know can be medicine to their souls. He said, but honestly, some crowds aren't open to it. And he said, I've been to places where I know this not the crowd for it, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's what's in my heart. And he said, I hope and pray that I'm going to do it here. And I hope and pray this is the crowd for it. And y'all will let me know. And he said, this is my song. And then the beat dropped. And it was a song called Love Yours. And the arena went bananas. Crazy. And so point number 4 is Love Yours. And if you don't know what that is, it is a song by Mr. J.Cole. And it's all about life. And in this song, he says there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. There's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. Your heart is beating inside your chest. That's what lets you know that you are alive. And if you are alive, that means you are alive on purpose, in purpose. And that's all that matters. And I just sit there in the middle of this show right after Drake just got everybody crying, changing people's lives, giving them money, talking about being a good human. And J.Cole comes right up on his heels and talk about love your life. You see our life. Okay, you see money, you see fame, you see all of that. You see success. You see people in your neighborhood with better house, better car. You see people in your family, better house, better car, better career. You see people sitting in the next cubicle, better, better, better. You comparing, and you know that comparison is the thief of all joy. You know that. So why you keep doing it? And he's saying that leads to destruction. Appreciation is the fuel that's going to propel you to where you want to go in life. It's appreciation, gratitude. Because there ain't a such thing as a life that's better than the one you have. He says always going to be a house that's bigger than the one you got. It's always going to be a car that's better than the ones you got. It's always going to be people with clothes better than the ones you rock. But none of that matters. All that matters is that you love what you have. Guess what? As long as the people in the house that you live in love you, nothing else matters. As long as your car can get you from point A to point B, nothing else matters. As long as you are living, breathing, you exist within purpose, whether it's a good season or a bad season, whether it's ugly, indifferent, whether you're hurt, whether you're down, it does not matter. You cannot take your life for granted at this moment. And so the challenge is love yours. Love your spouse. Every time you see somebody else attractive and you gotta look and be like, sure, it would be nice. And you're sitting here with this whole human that done devoted their life to you, pouring their heart and soul out for you. And all you looking at is what else might be out there. Come on, fam, love yours. Well, I don't get what I need out of this relationship. What are you giving to it? What are you giving to it? Are you being what you want in exchange? Why are you so quick to talk about what you don't have? I ain't saying, please, don't nobody misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not telling nobody to sit in no abusive situation. We ain't talking about that. But I'm talking about just the idea that you got bored. Love is hard. Marriage is hard. Relationships can be hard. So you ready to jump ship first chance you get for something better, brighter, shinier. Love yours. You're going to kill yourself trying to buy a house 2 times bigger than the one you got. Taking a mortgage, and now you a slave to the loan, just trying to pay for that dang house and that car. You got it. It look real good when people come by, when the family come over for a little bit, it look real good. But when they leave and you stress to the max because you overextended yourself and you don't know where the money going to come from and you scared you're going to have nowhere to go and be sleeping on the street. And you did that just so you can look better in the eye of those around you. You did that. And some of y'all right now are killing yourself, wanting that, coveting that. Will trade anything in the world for that. You better listen to Jermaine. Love yours. I'm not telling you be complacent. I'm not telling you just say, well, I never aspired to have anything more or anything better in life. We ain't on that. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying appreciate where you are in the moment. Appreciate, have gratitude for where you are right now, for what you have right now. No, you ain't where you gonna be. You ain't where you want to be, but you ain't where you used to be, and that's worth celebrating. Love yours because you can. Love yours because you can. And that leads me to my 5th and final point, which is, this is the one that really I walked away and it's gonna propel me into the next level of my own career, my own life. And that is stay the course. Stay the course. We just did a episode a couple episodes ago. We told you to run the play. Run the Play was a trust the process kind of an episode. If you ain't heard that one, go back, stream Run the Play. Just go back and listen to them all, because I'm going to keep referring back to stuff we already said. So if you're new here, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. But go back and check it out. Run the Play. Run the Play was all about trusting the process. And what I'm telling you is you have to stay the course. These men were made a mockery of. These men were a meme before memes were a thing. These men were ridiculed. These men were torn down. Shoot, some of them still are. Some people still be judging Drake. Why are you making techno music? Some people still dressing J. Cole, judging J. Cole. Why you dress like that? Why you look like that? Come on, man. It's because they embraced the principles that I'm giving you. They were unapologetically them. They devoted themselves to their craft. They love who they are. And they love what they do. And even though they weren't always celebrated. Sometimes they were tolerated. Sometimes they were ridiculed. Sometimes they were put down. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Listen to me. The very things that they were once ridiculed for, whoo, snap, they are now celebrated for. Rewind. I said the very things that they were once ridiculed for are the very things they're now celebrated for. I listened to 17,000 human beings scream to the top of their lungs 2 nights in a row. I'm surprised I have hearing right now because they said this was the loudest show on the tour because Oklahoma City showed up and showed out and showed big love. And these guys were celebrated in a way. J. Cole, before he even said a word, he just walked in a circle on the stage for like 90 seconds. And people screamed without a break, nonstop, 90 seconds, piercing screams. Just because of the impact and the uniqueness that made him who he is. In his baggy sweats, in his very J. Cole way. In him, not the fancy, not the chains, not the designer, none of that. Just him. Drake came right out there and opened up the show. I probably shouldn't say this. Well, the tour is over now. They only got 4 shows left. And what are the odds of 10 of y'all being in those 4 cities they got left on the tour? But Drake came right out there and opened up the show singing one of them soft emotional songs. And I loved every second of it. And you know who else did? The other 16,999 individuals in the building who was screaming to the top of their lungs that I got on camera. I should show it to y'all. Crazy. Loving him for it. Now, the very things that people tried to get him to stop doing are the things that makes them the celebrated stars that they are today. So what does it mean for you? Don't grow weary in doing good because due season is coming. Don't get tired of showing up because due season is coming. Don't get ready to throw in the towel because you haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen the growth yet. You haven't seen the trajectory yet. You aren't celebrated yet. Guess what? That is a byproduct. That celebration they get is a byproduct of the intensity, the intentionality, and the effort that they have put in over the course of an entire career to build catalog. You know how much energy and effort it takes to build albums and projects and sell and market and travel and tour and perform? That's a lie. It's work. But it's worth it work because it's purpose work. And I'm challenging you to step into your purpose work. Stop diminishing yourself. Stop belittling yourself. Stop letting other people diminish you and stop letting other people belittle you. Show up and just choose every day to be a good human and go serve somebody else outside yourself. Give your gift to the world unapologetically. Give it everything you got because that's what these dudes did. And that's what they did to literally pierced my heart in a way that you cannot fathom. They went out here. They put it in. They got it in. They are killing the game, and so can you. But it depends on the choice you're willing to make. And that choice is no matter what happens, no matter what adversity comes, I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to stay the course. So I'm pushing you. I'm urging you. Give everything you got to this mission, but don't give up. Whatever you do, stay the course. Trust the process. Keep going. Run the play. Go be great, because you can. Vitalize.